Hey, how's it going, guys? Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of The Real Deal. So this week we're talking about something super relevant right now with a couple different clients that I have. We're talking about solar panels. Solar panels is something that comes up almost on, I don't know, I would say every other transaction, either because the client's interested in purchasing solar panels down the road, or we're considering making an offer on a house that has solar panels. So there is a lot of benefits to solar panels, and there are some downsides, and I'll go through those. But first, let's talk about some of the benefits. Obviously, if you can find a house that has paid off solar panels, which is extremely rare, then that is a slam dunk. Like, there is no downside to that. Like, there is no trade-off. It is a great deal. I've been fortunate enough to have that happen to me twice with clients. Currently under contract with my clients that are moving in from out of state. They're purchasing a house that had paid off solar panels, which is a great it's a great investment if you can do that, as a seller, if somebody that has a house, because, obviously you don't have to pay this monthly lease payment that goes with it. And for whoever that's going to buy your house, it's a good investment for them because they realize, hey, I'm going to have a very small light bill. And that's the way that solar panels work, right? Solar panels are never going to fully 100% cover all of your electricity. It will do that during the winter months when it's not that hot. However, during the summer months, you're probably still going to have a small APS or SRP bill. So for the most part, I would say the hottest months out of the year, you're going to have a little bit of a bill through your light company still. And then on some of the cold months, you're actually going to have credits sometimes. I'll give you guys a perfect example. I'm currently in the process of helping a client purchase a house that has leased solar panels. Now, let's talk about that because we just talked about owned solar panels and the great benefits and really no downsides to that. When you have leased solar panels, there is instances where there are some drawbacks, and specifically I'm referring to the lease payment that gets associated with that solar panel. So there are some great solar panel companies out there that provide a great service, a great product, and they have a reasonable price. However, there are some companies out there that really stick it to clients, and they have graduated leases that sometimes end up being more expensive for the lease than the actual solar energy that you or the electricity that you would have just been paying through a traditional electric bill. So in some cases, the leases are just ridiculous. I've seen some that are like $250 a month, $300 a month. Now, it obviously has to do with the size of the house too. So there's a lot that goes into it. That's not just a broad stroke that I'm painting on that. It has to do with the size of the house and the adequate energy that the solar panels are going to provide for that house. Sometimes it requires more panels, hence your lease is going to be higher. But in some cases, I've seen like a small 1,500 square foot house with like a $250 lease payment, which is ridiculous because you're going to just pay the same amount you would on a traditional electric bill. So I'm helping out this client that she's considering a house that has solar panels. And the solar lease on this one is reasonable, and it's a fixed rate. It's about $150 a month on a 2-story house. So much so that last month, the price is so good that last month they had a credit from APS because they produced more electricity than they needed, and they put more electricity toward the grid. So there is definitely some upsides to having solar panels. I would never say, hey, Mr. Customer, Mr. Client, don't buy this house because of solar panels. You have to really look a little bit deeper. You have to analyze the situation to make sure that it is going to be beneficial. So in this particular case, it is beneficial because the client's going to save money over time. And, you're obviously helping out the environment too. And that's definitely a plus, going green. Now, as far as a solar lease, right? Because that's a common question that comes up. Like, what does that mean? Am I going to finish paying it off? When is it going to be done paying it off? I would say that if you purchase a house that has leased solar panels, don't expect to ever own those panels. There is the potential of owning them once the lease terminates its term. Most of the time, it's 20 years for this lease term. I've seen some that are 30 years. After the lease term is over, there's a buyout payment that's pretty high. It's called a balloon payment. 20 years from now, we're talking the year almost 2040. I guarantee you there's going to be better technology out there, and you won't want to own the solar panels that are on your roof when you purchase your house. So if a client asks me, hey, am I ever going to finish paying off these solar panels? If it's leased, the answer is no. I would say you're always going to have that lease payment. So when you purchase a house that has solar panels, you want to go in with the mindset of, Instead of paying an electric bill, I'm going to have a solar panel bill, and I'm going to save money that way. It's never going to be like, hey, I own these solar panels free and clear and I'm getting free electricity. That's just not going to happen unless, once again, like I said at the beginning of the video, you're paying out the solar panels 20 grand, 25 grand at a time. Then yeah, 100%. That's electricity that you're going to have that's free. You're just going to have to pay the overages certain months out of the year. So I would not shy away from purchasing a house if it has solar panel leases. Of course, if it makes sense, you have to make sure that your real estate agent is evaluating the situation, making sure that it financially makes sense. Because the last thing you want is to take on a burden that you have to then transfer to somebody else. So if you have a bad solar panel lease that you're taking over, and when it's your time to sell the house, 5-10 years down the road, that buyer is going to want, or is going to have to agree to your terms. They're going to have to take over that same solar lease. So you always want to make sure that if you're going into a solar panel lease, you're getting a good deal to begin with, because then if you're not, you're going to have to transfer that headache to somebody a couple years down the road. That might prevent you from getting maximum dollar for your house. But once again, it depends on the solar panels and the lease and the agreement. In some cases, it's a good deal. Like this one house that I'm currently talking about that we're in the process of potentially putting an offer in. It's a good deal. It's a good investment because the numbers are there. It makes sense. A big 2-story house to only be paying $150, $160 a month for a solar lease, that's a good deal. So just evaluate. Every situation is very different. Obviously, if you have the funds available to purchase solar panels outright, do it. It's a good investment. You're going to get free electricity, and then it's going to be a selling point when you sell your house. But for the most part, 90% of the time, clients are renting or leasing these panels from solar panel companies. So just something to consider. If you guys have any questions or doubts or concerns, if you guys currently have a house that has solar panels, give me a call. Don't think that you have to pay off the solar panel leases. You can always transfer it to a buyer. Just the process is a lot easier than most people make it out to be. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this week's episode of The Real Deal. You guys take care and have a great Thursday.